Excited to share with you Tony Spandrio, a monster in the space. He is in the Hall of Fame for rich dads. So anyway, he is going to share with you a lot of ins and outs of what it takes to buy rentals out of state. So I can't wait to share this with you. Without further ado, here is Tony Spandrio. I don't know if you knew this about him. Who knew that he was in the Hall of Fame for rich dad? Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki knows this guy. I think I've seen 3 different pictures with 3 different outfits with these 2 guys talking with each other. He and his wife have made it there. They've also made it in the Hall of Fame for 2 other companies. One is where I take my multifamily education. So really just happy to have Tony here. He's an author and he's an educator. And with that said, give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. Appreciate you having me here today. And I'll kind of just go through a little bit of what we've been doing, just so, Adam's kind of expressed a few things here. But we started back in 2010. My wife actually drug me to this little 2-hour event that, Robert Kiyosaki puts on, which turned into a 3-day event, which we got sucked into, and we took it from there and joined and started our education in 2010, and then by 2012, we were inducted into Robert Kiyosaki's International Hall of Fame. And that's something that's really difficult to get into, because usually you have about 2,000 students that for that year are trying to get in, and they're only going to pick 4. And so there's a lot of things that they look at before, and that you have to go through before you can get into that, to have that award and whatnot. So that was really prestigious. A little bit later on, in about 2015, then I also started working for the organization as a coach and a mentor. And the one thing that I like to express about that organization, a little different than some of the others that are out there, is as a coach and a mentor, we're required to go to where the students live. So if you had a 3-day or 4-day mentorship, basically the coach comes into your market and deals in your situation, instead of somebody on the phone on the other end trying to determine what you're doing in your market. So for about 2 years, every week I traveled all over the United States in all these different cities, coaching and mentoring students. So I got to see a lot of what was going on. And I can tell you, there's so many times that it's just like, I wish I lived here. Because some of those markets are just really, really super awesome. Over that time frame, from about 2011 till through 2015, we were doing flips also. Actually, it's about 45 flips now that we have done, primarily in the Colorado market. I'm also owner in 2 apartment complexes, one here in Greeley, one in Omaha. I've also had properties out in Atlanta, and we got a number of properties in Tulsa, and then also owning property in Nebraska. So primarily single-family rentals. I got right now 37 single families that we have in the Tulsa market. We still have single families here also. As the economy was changing in 2014 and 15, we actually sold a number of our single-family homes, and we did a 1031 exchange. Everybody know what a 1031 exchange is? We tripled our value in a lot of homes here, so we took that and we went to the Midwest, where we could see that there was a little more cash flow available. I'm the author of Cash Flow Essentials. Wrote this book in June of 2017. It's out on Amazon.com. And I also do sell it individually, but we're actually going to give, Adam's going to raffle one of these away today, and then I would say be attentive in listening to what I have to say, because I want to give away another one with a question to everybody that I'll have. And then also, I am the owner of Oklahoma Portfolio Partners. We basically are a turnkey company offering turnkey properties in the Tulsa market. So let's go ahead and jump into what we're here today for, which is the pros and cons of out-of-state investing. So one of the things that I want to say and keep in mind is I'm going to go through a presentation of what you as an investor, if you're really considering out-of-state, everything that you should be considering in a market that you want to go to. Now, I'm in the Tulsa market. So you can see in today's presentation that I'm going to be talking about the Tulsa market. And I'll be going through a lot of different areas about the Tulsa market. But me as an educator, what I'm trying to come across with here is, I don't care if you want to go to St. Louis, I don't care if you want to go to Milwaukee, you want to go to Jacksonville, Florida, I don't care wherever you want to go. My recommendation is, heed to what I have to show you and tell you to discover what is your market like before you make that jump out there. And there's pros and cons. There's pros and cons to all of that. So like I say, I'm going to give the demonstration on the Tulsa market. We go through that. But if your market is, wherever, you mentioned that you're doing, the products in St. Louis and whatnot, you might want to do that. Now, about, 3 months ago, I'm also a speaker, and I travel around speaking, and I was actually part of ICOR. Everybody pretty much knows who ICOR is. But they had a national event in LA that they brought in 5 turnkey companies from across the United States, which I was fortunate enough to be one of those presenters, that we all presented about our market. So it was quite interesting to see what everybody had to say. So let's get started on things, okay? So the first thing is to try to take the fear out of investing out of state. So how many of you are literally saying, oh my God, I'm not about to go out of state? Nobody? Wow. 1, 2. Don't be afraid to raise your hand. It's normal. You don't think I didn't, excuse my language, scared shitless when I first started to go out? Heck yes, I am. But what we're trying to do here today is to try to go through these things that says, but here's a way of things that you can do, okay, that you can eliminate that. Because you got to make some good calls when you're out there. And you got to take and really listen to what other people are trying to bullshit you on. I hate to put it that way. I'm going to be straight and say that's why. Okay? We didn't take a lot of bumps and bruises ourselves, and we didn't get into the Hall of Fames and being involved in the different, gurus that are out there just by accident. I mean, believe me, it was painful, along the way. So we're going to go through these items that are here. The economy. Looking at the economy, looking at population growth, looking at job growth, unemployment, demographics, Fortune 500 companies. These are things that are pretty important when you're wanting to analyze the market. It says, hey, what's going on out there? Okay? And again, you can get this information is readily available. It's all out there. Department of Bureau of Labor and Statistics. I mean, there's so many places that you can go. You don't have to buy and pay for applications that tell you this stuff. It's all readily available. Everything that I'm going to show you today it's right there. You can go out and Google it and find it. In my book, I talk about it. Is that my best friend is just Google. Just Google it. Okay? All right. So we're going to jump into the economy. So again, I'm going to repeat this throughout this presentation. You can find the MSA for any place that you want to go. But you need to find the MSA. So anybody here can tell me what MSA is? Yes?
Metropolitan Statistical Area.
Right. Okay. Now, as for example, in the Tulsa market, you can see that the MSA for Tulsa includes Creek County, Okomoji, Osage, Pawnee, Rogers, Tulsa, Wagner counties. Okay? So an MSA, you can think of, Denver's maybe large enough to have its own MSA, but it could also encompass some of the suburbs. Anybody use Berkadia for looking up data? No? Wow. Berkadia.com. It's a free site, guys. And Berkadia, Berkida. And it's a free site that you can get so much information about apartments and what's going on in MSAs and the suburbs and everything else. And they come out with quarterly reports. It's huge.
Do they have information on vacancy rates?
Yes.
They do.
Absolutely. Wow.
What's the best place for vacancy rates per zip code? Is it on the
What do you mean best vacancy rates?
where you can get vacancy rates per zip code?
Per zip code?
If there's one you like.
I don't know if there is one, and I don't mean to jump off topic. I really need to stay on topic here, for that. Okay. All right, so next, yes.
Quick question, Tony. Can we get your slides after this?
Adam, what do you typically do on that? Because I will provide them to Adam if he wants to disperse them.
Yeah, there's two ways. If you want to get his card and just email him, or if he wants to give it to me.
Okay.
I'm fine either way. Okay. All right. Gross domestic product. Believe it or not, every major city, everything across the United States, and there is another site that you can go to. It's called BEA.gov. Again, what the gross domestic product is and the importance of that is that, okay, so let's look at it this way. In Tulsa, okay, we've got $58.7 billion, or 33% of the economy is what they're generating in a gross domestic product. Now, if that gross domestic product wasn't going anywhere, and instead they were having to try to bring in all of these products into Tulsa, what does that tell you about their economy? It sucks. Basically sucks because they're not producing anything. Therefore, they probably don't have jobs. They're probably not providing things to send out to other areas in the United States. So your GDP has a ratio, and it's important to know, okay, whether it's Oklahoma City, Tulsa, St. Louis, I don't care where you go, you can get this information that says, so what's happening? You can look at it as a state as a whole, because it's important that they're providing products, because that's what they're doing. They're growing. That's part of the job growth that we want to look into. Okay? Obviously, the other thing is that look into the major industries. Okay, so first thing when somebody talks about Oklahoma, as an example, what do you think that their major industry is? What do you think they're good for?
College.
Oil. I'm sorry?
Colleges.
Colleges. Okay. Agriculture. Okay. But typically, it is oil and gas. That's the first thing that comes to people's minds. Okay. But believe it or not, and we'll go through this, that when you're starting to investigate any place that you're looking at, okay, is you want to look into seeing what is their major industries. Does this make sense? Are they bringing in enough jobs to produce enough things that are going to be going out? Okay, so Tulsa's major industries, believe it or not, and we'll get into this a little bit deeper: aerospace, aviation, healthcare, engineering, or energy, machinery, transportation, distribution, and logistics. Now, when I first looked at it, it's just like, huh? What? Really? No, they're just oil and gas. That's all I ever thought of, oil and gas. Okay? So, we're going to get into now a little bit about the economy, because we're going to dig in and do some research. Once you find the area that you think you want to be in. In fact, let me stop for a minute and say, somebody shout out an area that they would like to be in for investing in a single-family homes. Florida. Okay? So, my question is that, why Florida? What would be a good purpose for you to go to Florida for?
Well, it's growing real fast. It's a popular place for people to move.
Okay.
That's the main
Okay.
reason.
Do you have relatives that live there?
I'm from Georgia, so...
Really? Wow. Did you know if you had relatives live there and you decided to go there to look at properties, but you stopped in to visit them, you realize what the tax, possible tax, benefits that could be from that little trip? That's business. Okay? So one of the things that we look at, because, my wife was here last week, she spoke last week, because my wife has a number of family members that live in the Oklahoma area. And so one of the other reasons that we like going there is that we can go there to visit them. Okay? If it's an area that you like to go on vacation, so Florida could be a great place, as we know, to maybe go take a vacation. And while we're there, we're looking at properties. So that's just other considerations that when you're thinking about a market is that how much do you like just being there in that market? All right, let me get back on track here, okay? So we talked about aerospace was one of Tulsa's major industries. So aerospace parts manufacturing is 1.4 times more concentrated, okay, in Tulsa than anywhere else in the United States. Okay? Oil and gas production, which we talked about. machinery manufacturing is 8 times more concentrated in Tulsa. We got fabricated metal products 2.6 times more concentrated there than anywhere in the United States. And last, believe it or not, heat exchanger manufacturing is 55 times more concentrated in Tulsa than it is in anywhere else in the United States.
So, how are you coming up with 1.4 times more concentrated? Is
It's
that a stat you're getting off the website?
Yep.
Is it? Okay.
It is statistical data that's out there that's available. Yeah. Okay.
Now, is that off BEA.gov or?
As far as the BEA.gov, you can drill into it. It's pretty extensive, but you can drill into a lot of individualized areas to see that information. Okay? So, again, I'm just talking about economy. Jump into your area. See how that looks. And go out and do some comparison. Because typically when I'm educating students that want to go, I tell them, I say, pick 3 areas in the United States you want to go, and then take this test and go through this and start figuring out which area do you think is going to be, the best to get into, okay? All right. The other thing about the economy in this case is that the cost of doing business in Tulsa is 11% below the U.S. average. Isn't that an incentive for businesses to maybe want to go to Tulsa? Because it's costing them 11% less. Okay? The cost of living is 8% below the U.S. average. So, again, now you're starting to look at individuals, people, whether it's people to rent, people to buy, people that want to go to live. That's just a factor to consider, that possibly it's 8%. Oklahoma City was rated, last year, a year and a half ago, on CNBC News, I think it was. And it was rated number 8 in all places for people going to live, in the United States. So again, it kind of says something about, Oklahoma as a whole and what they're doing. Again, I'm going to repeat. You can do this for any place that you want to. Figure out the pros and cons, looking at the economy, why should you be in the market you want to be in. Okay? All right, so population growth. So the MSA, we talked about the MSA earlier, right? And the MSA isn't the city of Tulsa. It's a number of counties. And you're going to find that wherever you go to look at MSAs, it's just not one single area. It's usually a number of areas. So the Tulsa MSA population is estimated at almost 1 million, or 25% of the Oklahoma's population. Okay? So you want to be in areas where cities have more than 50,000. As far as I've had a lot of people throwing me deals to look at, and I'm looking at it and just going, wow, this little city's got 15,000 people in it. I'm really not too enthused about that. I kind of want cities that have at least 50,000 or more. What typically happens from a retail standpoint when a city reaches 50,000? Anybody know? You have 50,000 or more people. What is it that typically will come to those cities? Walmart. Home Depot. Lowe's. Usually that's the trigger point that you want to think about. Okay? All right. So from 2010 to 2017, there's been a 7.1% population growth in the Tulsa market, which is 2% greater than the state of Oklahoma as a whole. So again, I'm just doing that research that says, hey, do I have more people coming into my market that I'm wanting to invest in or leaving? Does anybody know what that's called? Migration. It's called net migration. Now you go out to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, you can actually see I'm talking about, on an Excel sheet, we're talking about like 30,000 lines of data that will tell you by popular cities how many people during this period of time have moved into, let's say, Tulsa, but how many people in Tulsa moved out to give you a net amount. Oh, if you go out to talk to, you get into the business journals or you go to Chamber of Commerce, what do you think they're going to tell you? They're going to tell you how great it is and how many people have moved in. Are they going to tell you what the real statistics are? Probably not. But you can get that information from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, okay? Okay, talking about jobs. Again, you know, the BLS, you can go out and you can find this information. So in 2017, Tulsa's employment rate rose by 13,610 jobs, which was a 3% increase. Okay, job growth, oil prices increased. Now this is a little bit old because I know that the cost of barrel, as we all know, if you've seen the gas prices go up, is most likely a little bit higher than this. But it did have an increase by 18%. So oil production, gas production is up. So that's good for, you know, our market. And then the fastest growing jobs was solar installers in Tulsa increased by 105%, and wind turbine techs increased by 96%. Okay? So there's a lot more data, and you could probably just go on and on and on and look at it. But I challenge you that in the market you want to go into, spend a little time understanding job growth. Okay? So we can kind of see here, as we were looking at before, in the past year, a 3% growth. And this is just a chart so we can visually see this. Okay, where U.S. in the past was only 1.3%, and in the last 5 years, there's been a 6% job growth. So we can see, based on what's been happening here recently, that it kind of leveled off from the latter part of 2015, you know, to about the middle of July, and then it's been, you know, heading up since. Okay. Unemployment. So Tulsa's unemployment rate as of July, and this was the most recent information that I went out last night and just updated this chart. But the unemployment rate's at 3.6, which, believe it or not, for Tulsa, that's down 0.3%. Whereas the national unemployment rate as of July 2018 is at 3.9 as a whole. So again, Tulsa's looking pretty good from an unemployment standpoint. You can get this same data, whether you want to go to Milwaukee, you want to go to Florida, you want to go to San, I don't care. You can still get this data everywhere. I just challenge you that check it out, okay? Next is the demographics. See what the demographics are in the market that you want to go into. In this case, 24.5% are between the 35 to 50 years of age. 15.4% are 25 to 34 years of age. 13.2% is over 65. And 12.25 are 55 to 64 years of age. So again, trying to get an idea of what demographics am I at? Is there a lot of millennials? Is there a lot of baby boomers? What makes sense for where I'm wanting to potentially put together single-family rentals, multifamily, okay? Get to know where that's at, where people are going. All right, now, from an education standpoint, okay, that 5.3 of the adults are attending colleges, 87% were high school graduates, and 30.7% were college graduates. So again, I'm trying to get an idea of what's my education, attainment for the adults in the markets that we're working with. Because a lot of that's just going to be dependent on what are you going after. Class apartments, C-class apartments, same thing with single families, what are you going after? Just to know that, again, what that demographics is, okay? Now, top employment industries in Tulsa. So we have 13.4% is healthcare, 11.2 is manufacturing, 10.8 was retail, 8.6 accommodations, 7.8 education. We had 6.9 in construction, 6.5 down into the professional, scientific, and other tech services. All right, race and ethnicity in the area that we've got. So we've got white at 55.6%, black or African American at 14.8%, American Indian and Alaska Native 3.9%, Asians 3%, Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islanders was under 0.1%. Other races of 2 or more 7.3%, and Hispanic or Latino at 15.4%. Okay, now when you start getting into your areas and you start getting into now individual subdivisions and pockets. Okay? Remember, this is generally speaking in the amount of Tulsa. So when you're out, and I really highly recommend this, guys, go to the market that you want to invest in. Take some time. Spend a week there. Spend 2 weeks there. Okay? Drive it. Because you might find that what you got statistical-wise might be a little different because of where you're honing in on where you want to invest at. Because this could literally, I can guarantee you, even this here could flip-flop depending upon where you want to go. And that's just the market. That's just what it is. Okay? Not saying it's bad, indifferent, whatever. Okay? But you need to go and you need to check that out. So there's, again, that's your pros and cons. You might be able to see that this looks pretty for what I'm telling you, but in any market, you're going to go and start going out with other investors that are in that market, realtors, whatever, and really get to see what's going on. All right, Fortune 500 companies. So this is huge because obviously they're going to bring a lot of jobs to the market. Now, typically my rule of thumb is that any market I want to be in, I don't want less than 3. You're going to find many other markets are going to have a much more Fortune 500 companies. There's going to be a lot more. So typically, as a rule of thumb, I've always used 3. As everything that I've been taught. Yes?
Now, are you talking headquarters for Fortune 500?
Yes, headquarters in there. Just because Amazon, like everywhere else in the world, and we'll talk about it, is they're putting fulfillment centers. But, is that where their headquarters is located? No. Okay. So, in this case, their headquarters in Tulsa. I'm sorry. This is I keep on forgetting how to pronounce it. One Oak? Anyway, so obviously their headquarters in Tulsa. They were founded in 1906. Their focus is natural gas and oil service and equipment company. They employ 2,470 people. Their revenue is $12.68 billion. Okay, NGL Energy Partners. Again, they're headquartered in Tulsa. They were founded in 1940. Again, their focus is energy, 2,700 employees, and their revenue is $136 million. And then we've got Williams. They're headquartered in Tulsa. Obviously, energy and natural gas. They employ 6,500 employees, and they have a revenue of $8.13 billion. Now, like I said, what do we know that was just built up the road? It's a huge Amazon fulfillment center. Now, I want to say is, and I found it interesting, because when I was speaking out in LA 3 months ago, don't you think that every other turnkey company had the same thing to say? Where's Amazon going? Everywhere. They're putting fulfillment centers everywhere. But why not boast about it to people that I maybe want to talk to that says, that's pretty huge. They're bringing 1,500 jobs. I just flipped a house that's 5 minutes in the best school district in Tulsa, 5 minutes from the center. I mean, that's pretty important to know, depending upon where your market is, that they're bringing 1,500 jobs like that within the year, in that market. I don't know how many. That facility up here is huge. I don't know how many jobs. Do you know?
I live 2 minutes away from it, and they estimated about 2,000 to 2,500 jobs.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is, now that Amazon is there, they've begun their hiring process, and people are starting to work. Topgolf is coming up there. IKEA, they're putting in that outlet mall, so everyone else is.
Everybody else, yeah. No, that's a good point. So for where I invest in Tulsa, that's a 20-minute drive for people, So so that's pretty huge when all that stuff comes out. That's a big announcement. That's really huge for any city across the United States. And again, go out to your market and just check it out and see. Okay. All right. What time is it? Am I doing okay?
Oh, you are great.
Okay.
12:55.
Okay. All right. Because I have a case study that I also brought along. So we can work on. All right. So why invest in Tulsa? No different than why invest in Milwaukee? Why invest in Jacksonville, Florida? Why not invest in Memphis, Tennessee? They're all out there. We are all doing the same thing, providing the same information. As a turnkey company that I own, we're all providing, similar stuff. So obviously, I've showed you we have a strong economy. We have stable job growth. The real estate inventory and days on market we're living in a great time right now. I mean, I know that the inventory here in Colorado, right, compared to maybe what it was down when it was around 3,000, 3,500 a few years ago, I hear that it's creeped up. I know the last time I was on, it was like 5,500 was what the inventory was, in the Denver metro area. But, I find the same thing in Tulsa. I go to investor meetings in Tulsa, and they're all sitting down going, wow, did you hear what's happening in Midtown? Well, they're starting to pop tops on residential. Well, the other day I saw one that they scraped, and I kind of chuckled to myself and going, you guys are about 2 to 3 years behind where Denver's at. But they're seeing the same thing back there, where days on market are low. They're turning days, houses are going under contract in 5 days, So the continuous days on market's, the same ways it is here. By the time you wait to get things financed, unless everybody's paying all cash, But anyway, so that's the good thing about that's going on with Tulsa. Cost of business, like I said, 11%. That's going to bring in, businesses. We've got great opportunities for buy and hold real estate there. And then we've got the home prices. And yeah, the home prices in a lot of areas in Tulsa, they're in the $50,000 to $65,000 range, just like St. Louis is 35 to 50, 55, roughly, And those pockets there's areas across the United States that those pockets are out there that a lot of these turnkey companies are doing. I mean, Cincinnati, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, Knoxville is another area that when I was speaking that these individuals were talking about, okay? So the opportunity to make passive income is pretty huge. That's out there. True, you got to weigh out risk and rewards, okay? Depending on how you feel about it, okay? If you like, I look at it this way. There's 3 factors that you should always consider, and you always need 2 of the 3. Passive income, appreciation, or equity. You can take any combination as long as you have 2 of those. All right? You can walk through that as long as you have 2 of those. You should be all right. So that's one thing to always consider.
Could you repeat those, please?
Passive income, equity, and appreciation. So if I had something that was cash flowing $500 a month, and I bought it right, and I have $40,000, $50,000 of equity, but I'm only getting a 3% or 4% appreciation. So I got 2 of the 3, maybe not high appreciation. Let's talk about our area right here. Cash flow, you're probably breaking even or maybe paying towards the mortgage. And if you bought it right, you got some equity, but what are you getting? Appreciation, right? And in 5 years, hopefully that, the rivers don't rise and whatnot, that you're going to make a pretty nice return because of that appreciation, okay? So again, you can kind of use that as a rule of thumb, okay? The other thing is having a team. So having a team, and this is my team, having a team that when you're ready to get out and do this, and I know that many of you maybe just say, oh, it's just me and my wife, and that's fine. But as you tend to grow and you tend to do business, it's important to build a team. I mean, Adam, wouldn't you say you got a pretty good team?
Yes. I need
It's huge. It's huge. So that's what I just kind of want to go over with, okay? Obviously, Laura, who spoke last week, I mean, she's huge. I mean, she literally has Joyce here, who is nothing but my accountant. She's my bookkeeper. She does all of the records. She does everything. She works for Laura, but she does everything that just we do. Whether it's the fix and flips, whether it's the apartments, whether it's the single family rentals, that's all she's devoted to. I have Zach here, who's my assistant, who he will go out and help assist me if I need to have a property worked out. In fact, he's in Greeley right now because we just had a property that went vacant. We got it rented, and he's over there just doing some finishing touches. I love it, but he's just fantastic. He sits in my office, answers phones, and does just a lot for me. I got my virtual assistant, Jennifer. So I have a virtual assistant. She's in the Philippines, and she'll do a lot of work for me. Then I've got my real estate agent here, another Jennifer, and she's in the Tulsa market. So she handles a lot of the stuff that we're doing on the Tulsa market. Billy is my general contractor in the Tulsa market, and he's got a crew. Then I got Sean, and Sean is he's our third-party property manager. So I go out and I seek looking for hopefully and finding the better property management companies. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of PMI Property Management Company. So they've got about 10 offices or 11 offices here in Colorado. They are out of Utah. They are a large franchise property management company. They have close to 200 offices across the United States. And so Sean has purchased one of those. So he's my property manager. Liz is my escrow title person. So again, I really focus on relationships. She's in the Tulsa market, and she works for Main Street Title. And I mean, she's just fantastic. I do everything, literally email. For Tulsa and Oklahoma, it's just like 4 pieces of paper work, and you're done, and you close the house, and it's just super easy. Then I got Brian. So Brian Dobbs is he's our insurance agent, and he handles all of our rentals as far as after they're rented, we have tenants in it. And I got Sean, and Sean handles all of our builder's risk insurance. So I do run with 2 to get my best pricing. Even though Sean's out of Colorado, he can put builder's risk insurance just about any properties that we're buying and rehabbing and fixing up. And then once we get them fixed up, we get them rented, then we'll convert it over to Brian Dobbs, who's there in the Tulsa market, and he'll insure them for us. Yes.
Sorry to skip back a little bit about the 3 things. 2 out of the 3, appreciation and passive income, at least for me, are pretty self-explanatory.
Right.
Now, what specifically do you mean by equity?
So it's equity, meaning that you bought the property right. It's important that in any deal, we're here as investors. We're not going to go pay retail, are we? We shouldn't be paying retail.
So you're not necessarily talking about, I'm going to buy a property in Tulsa because a similar property in Denver is going to cost 3 times as much.
No, that's right.
That has nothing to do with it. It's just, are you getting a deal?
Am I getting a deal? If you found a deal here for $100,000 a month, $100,000, because you worked it, you found it. Carl finds great deals, okay? I'm just saying, and it rents for $1,500. You can get rent for $1,500 a month because you found the deal. Congratulations, dude. That's awesome. And people are doing it. Absolutely, they're doing it. Okay? It also depends a lot. Like last week, there's another gentleman that was here. He was talking to me, and he's got three or four rentals, and he just bought one. And I said, so Marcus, I said, so how are you doing with cash flow? He says, they're not. I go, really? He says, but that's okay. He says, I'm banking on the appreciation. So as many students that I've coached and mentored over the years, I'll tell you that the majority of them all want cash flow. They just can't wrap themselves around that they're going to break even on a mortgage, or maybe a hiccup comes along and they got to pay a little bit out of their pocket for the mortgage and not have anything into it, banking on appreciation. Because in the long run, honestly, appreciation is going to gain you more. But I got a case study that we're gonna go through, okay, to kind of show you, what the possibilities are, okay. Any questions so far?
What is builder's risk?
So builder's risk insurance is that most of the people that do fix and flips, you'll understand this, is that during the time frame when a house is being worked on and you got your general contractors in there working and subcontractors working in there, you want a different policy. You just don't want a regular, insurance policy. You want a builder's risk and policy in there that's going to cover, anything that happens to maybe a general contractor, even though they should have their own liability coverage, and what you want to make certain that you do have that certificate from them that they're covered and their workers are covered. But if anything else, there's vandalism, God forbid, lightning strikes the house, whatever, okay, you want to have a builder's risk policy. Okay? Yes?
Two questions for you. Number one, as far as the age demographic goes, is there a certain ratio or breakout that you prefer and why?
So, it's a combination of where my properties are going to be located.
Sure.
if I'm going to be near, which, let's just use, let's say Greeley, right? And there's an area around UNC that obviously it would be important to me, all right? That I know that if I'm invested in this area, that's going to be a very important demographics that I'm going to want to focus on, okay? And I have one. And it's interesting because right now, one of the properties I have there is right on the cusp of, nope, it's just a little bit too far beyond that demographic. So now I've had to rely onto a different demographic, okay? Which in that area, which is, perfectly fine with us. I mean, it's Hispanic, it's blue collar worker, and we see that in most cases, probably, I'm going to say, I don't know between baby boomers and millennials, what's in between there? Gen X, thank you. And that's typically what we see. Okay, so a lot of that is, again, I'm going to go into my market and I'm going to try to get a feel for that market. So one of the things is going to be, colleges, universities. So that's going to be the one that I want to focus on. If it's not, then I got to believe that people are going to want to have to possibly travel to where they need to work, and so that may be more of the Gen X. I tend, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to be, I'm not trying to be discriminative in any way because I'm a baby boomer, but do I want to be in an area for baby boomers? Well, maybe if I was Vern Harris and we got assisted living, right? That would make sense. Yeah. Okay.
And then number two, when you're talking about having 2 out of 3, do you pick and choose whichever market you're looking at? You're like, all right, I want this market to have these 2, but this market needs to have these 2, assuming at some point the market will adjust, and maybe that will hit markets that focus more on cash flow versus appreciation.
The first thing that I do is, what can Tony stomach? What can I literally work with? Okay? And I'll be honest with you, I'm like most of the people, is I've got to have appreciation. I got to have cash flow. I'm just not at that point where I'm willing to take the risk on appreciation. So my first thing is what is it that I want? Okay? Whether I pay cash, whether I leverage, is going to have a lot depending upon, how that cash flow is going to work. So that's the first thing. Once I feel where I want to be, I will then go out and start looking for the market. So in 2011, whether we just talk about Colorado in general, but we bought a boatload of homes up in the Greeley area, in 2011. We're buying houses $50,000, $60,000, and we're renting them for $800-900 a month. That was huge. So, like I say, that I understand what you're talking about, sure. And that's important because depending upon the subdivisions you're going into in the market, is going to kind of dictate a lot about, appreciation. At your castle, do they still put out that map that shows subdivisions and their color coding and everything that goes on? That tells you alone how much deviation there can be from this subdivision to this subdivision. I was mentoring in Toledo, Ohio once, and I was out with a broker, and he was literally riding down the street. He says, well, over here, this is what's going to happen, and over here is going to be opposite the negative, and we're driving down the street. So it literally happens that way, that you have to look into. Okay? All right. So, now we're going to do a case study. Now this case study is a property that's sold. Okay? Because I am showing percentages, cash on cash returns. I'm showing that. I can't offer and show it to anybody because a lot of you I know and a lot of you I don't know. So I want to just say up front that this is going to be a property that we had, and it's one that's sold. Now, there's a few things that are going on with this presentation, and I'm going to ask some questions, see how you guys kind of respond to a few things here. So we're going to kind of make this a little interactive, okay? And again, if depending upon what you're doing and looking for, out to turnkey companies. Okay, and there's a number of turnkey companies across the United States that are available. Okay, and I should have thought about it because there's a site that you can go to. my assistant, if you guys think about it, I can send you this really long list of turnkey companies across the United States that we did some research on. But anyway, I just suggest and recommend that you really ask yourself a lot of questions. Okay? So, we're going to start. Yes?
What is a turnkey?
So, a turnkey company is one that's going to come in. They're going to purchase the property at a very deep discount. They're going to turn around and they're going to totally rehab it. Now, they may have different levels. Different turnkey companies may have different levels of how much are they going to rehab it. Okay? It could be from, top to bottom, inside out, to be everything. Okay? Then they're going to put a tenant in there. Okay? Now, they may offer their own property management that's managing it for you. They may offer a third-party property management company. They may even offer insurance for you to fall under their umbrella versus your own insurance. So that basically what's happening is that day one when you take it over, you're cash flowing.
Are you paying retail for it?
On a lot of turnkey properties, because they're all fixed up, typically you could be very close to retail or about 90% of retail. All right, so our subject here, built in 1955, a 4-bedroom, 1-bath. The garage was converted into a 4th bedroom. We have 1,128 square feet. The lot size is 6738. Roof is composition shingle, and our exterior frame is brick, stone, veneer. A lot of times it's vinyl and whatnot. Okay. So here's our house. Okay. This right here was the garage at one time. Okay. So that has been converted. Now, when we bought it with it already converted. Okay. There's just some quick pictures of the inside. A lot of them will have, the hardwood floors finished. Some ones may have carpet in them. Okay, tile, that type of stuff. Okay. All right. So here's the location of that property. So you can see here we are in Tulsa. It's north of Tulsa. Okay. So we're going to walk through some numbers, and like I say, I'd like to get a little participation. I'm going to ask some things and see what people have to say about this. All right, so we had a purchase price of $50,000. This is totally turnkey. Okay, it's ready to go. An individual that they bought it, $50,000. Repairs needed. There was no repairs. Totally done. New roof, all new vinyl windows. Okay, painted on the outside. The inside hardwood floors refinished, brand new carpet, all new mini blinds. Brand new appliances put in. Typically, maybe kitchen cabinets, or they've been resurfaced and refinished. Typically, surround tiles around the bathtubs. Maybe new bathtub, maybe the bathtub was refinished. New toilet, new vanity. It's new. New HVAC system, okay? So we have pretty much new. Estimated closing cost was $1,500. Total investment, $51,500. They put down $1,000, okay? It was a down payment as a cash purchase, as I'm talking about here, for $50,500. Okay, so this property rents for $850 a month. That's $10,200 annually. Property taxes run $786 a year. That's $65 a month. Insurance premium, $598. That's $50, roughly $50 a month. And the property management fee at 10%. That's what our third-party property management fee charges. So that's 10%. That's $85. So our expenses, okay, are $200 a month, $2,400 a year. Everybody with me here? Okay. Anybody see anything wrong with this? Reserve for repairs, huh? And vacancies. Interesting. How many of you have ever gone out and looked at the many, many turnkey companies across the United States? Uh-huh. I can tell you that 90% of them report it just like this. Wait a second. And I know we spoke before. I won't pick on you. Wait a second. I got a tenant in there. What do you mean? There's no vacancies.
One has a lease.
A year?
All right, so what happens when that lease ends?
Well, wait a minute. Wait. There's a tenant in there. There's no vacancies.
You don't have to put them in your numbers, but I'm putting them in mine.
Very good. What was the other one? Property management company? Well, I thought you were self-managing it. Okay. Hey, I'm just playing the devil's advocate here because I've been down this road. Okay? I investigate other turnkey companies. I see what's going on. All right? Okay, so we're going to use this consent. I understand where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong. I want to show you some pretty awesome stuff. Okay? So now I've got a net operating income. So NOI, net operating income. I was $850 a month. I took away $200 in expenses. I got a net operating income of $650, $7,800 a year. I bought it with cash, so I don't have any principal and interest. Okay, so I have a net cash flow of $750, $7,800 a year. Pretty awesome, huh? Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Again, back to having something that is heavy on cash flow, okay, and maybe not appreciation. But at this point, this property, the cash-on-cash return, which is net cash flow divided by total investment, is 15.15%. Everybody says, well, but hey, we're going to go by cap rate because cap rate's the same on cash. Is that true? Why isn't it true? Who knows? What's the difference?
Cap rate changes.
Total win versus based on just purchase price.
Correct. So that number can change when you leverage it. When you leverage that property, you're not putting $51,000 down. You're leveraging it 25% down. That's going to give you a whole different number. So I'm just saying this is that depending upon how you do your numbers, you can get a lot of different results. That's why we see these two numbers being different. Because Adam's right. Net cash flow divided by total investment versus net cash flow divided by purchase price. All right, so we have a total cash investment of $51,500, the $7,800 a year for cash flow, $650 a month on the per month gives us that return. Okay. All right, so now let's talk about where we were talking about cash flow, appreciation, equity, and what we bought into it. So we bought this property at $51,500, which this property has an after repair value of $56,000. Now, I'm being conservative, to be honest with you, that says that the appreciation is 3%. It truly is more in this area at 4%. The national average is about 3 to 4% as a national average. I know, yeah, we're enjoying it here. And depending upon your market could be greater than that. But I'm being conservative. That says, okay, so if we do this, my new value after 5 years is $64,919, which gives me a net gain of $13,419. All right, well, let's talk about our cash flow. So again, I'm being a little conservative and saying I have a 2% gain each year in our rents that we're gaining. So over this time frame of when I've started, I'm sorry, this is actually 6 total years here, we got $49,203 that we've accumulated on this cash flowing property. Okay? So now we look at the results and we say, so appreciation, total appreciation and cash flow gained over that year was $62,622. So we're averaging about $12,524 a year, which the annual cash-on-cash return now jumps up to 24.32%. That's an eye-opener when you start looking at that. And overall, for 5 years, it's 121.60%.
Did you consider the increases in expenses year over year? You did a nice job of appreciation, rent increases, but I didn't see anything on expenses.
That's a good point, no? Because 90% of all the people out there are selling this stuff don't either. My purpose being here is, like I said, is I like to educate. I can sell this stuff all day long, just like everybody else does. But you're absolutely right, is that there are so many things to consider. Just as when Adam goes out and Adam's investing in apartments. And I've seen what Adam has done. It's very detailed. And myself and my business partner, who's Mike Kranz, some of you know, we are the same way. That we get into those details. Because I can tell you that after doing this now for the last 5 years and having an accountant on board, to start seeing at the end of the year, what did I really make? Okay? Hey, I'll be honest with you. Let's say, I have a property and I did get $5,000 of income from that property this year, but a previous property manager put in a tenant that didn't work out real well, and I just got through spending $5,000 on the house. What did I make that year? A big fat zero. Hey, I hate to say it, guys, but reality is it may happen. And that's the risk you're going to take. Overall, it's been nice. My investors that invest with us, it's been great. They've been seeing a little more than 10%, And I've seen some of mine averaging, sometimes 12. But one little incident like that, and that's why it's so important to get into your market, realizing what's going on. Spend time visiting there. Don't be afraid to stay there for a week or 2 weeks. Go visit the local police department, find out what's going on. Interview a number of property managers. I know some of you may already have it, but I have a short little ebook, 93 questions to ask your property manager. Okay, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to send that to you. A lot of those questions are both between single family and multifamily, so you're not going to ask them 93 questions, So that can be very, very helpful also. So, okay. But anyway, I could get into the case studies to break down exactly what you were talking about. Absolutely. Now, another one that comes up is CapEx. Should you be considering CapEx for single-family homes as well as apartments? Yeah, absolutely.
One point, Tony, on this one, so on both the maintenance and the CapEx cost, if you just totally went through that house, in the first, maybe even up to 5 years, you might not have any CapEx because you just totally revamped it. Unless somebody demolishes it, then you've got insurance that's going to cover most of that. And so for 5 years, you may have this return.
Be written off. But no, you're right. And I look at this and I'm saying, you're getting basically a brand new house, other than it was built in maybe 1970, but everything else is new in it, So you're right. You do have that delayed time frame, that you're not even having to worry about that. I typically will run on a house that's been totally refurbished. I will typically run 8% against the rent as the amount that I hold out. Right. If it's not, and it's one that I picked up that I know is going to need work in the future, I will typically run 12%. Vacancies, go out to Berkadia, guys. It's amazing. You can go out to Berkadia and go anywhere in the United States in Berkadia. Go to the MSAs. It will tell you what the vacancies rates have been recently, what the rents are. I know that they're dealing with apartments, but it gets you a good gut feeling. The next thing is that, hey, you just call up the property management company. You interview them. You ask them how long is it taking to rent their properties. Figure it out. Back into it. So, I highly recommend that, you do figure in vacancies. You do figure in your reserve maintenance. What else is going to happen? The tenant moved out and it's vacant for a week, a month. What's still running? Utilities. That's right. You want to get down to it? We can really start digging into it. Okay? All right. So that's a new tenant. Wait a second. If every 2 years or every 3 years you're putting in a new tenant, what's your property management charge to put in a new tenant?
Usually a full month.
Gene, that's $1,000 in 3 years. That's $333 that you better be holding aside, because when that time comes, do you want to be eating it for that month, or would you like to have a little reserve aside to pay for it? Well, wait a second, Adam. They're not moving out. They're just renewing their lease. Half a month. Unless you negotiate. It adds up. You get into your accounting, and at the end of the month, in the end of the year, you find out where you really are at. Versus somebody telling you, hey, I got something I can sell you that's 14.5% cap rate. Dig into their numbers. Find reality over the time frame. That's all I'm saying. Just being honest with you guys. Yes.
So after doing all your numbers at the end of the year, do you have like a number that jumps out at you for maintenance and repair on one of those houses on the year?
As I mentioned earlier, 8%.
8%.
8% is typically pretty darn right in there, unless I have a situation where it's really gotten destroyed. Yeah. Depending upon vacant units and depending upon where you're at, I can tell you, I had a number of individuals that were in Kansas City, condensers are, I guess, like gold. People love condensers. So you got to figure out how to manage that. You know what I'm saying?
Build metal cages and cement in.
Doesn't work. Oh yeah. Only reason is that Tulsa is a market that is that way. I'm serious. One of my investors has a vacant property. Found out yesterday that somebody came in, they kicked in the door. This is one that was totally done over. They took the carpet, they took the pad, they took the appliances, they took the kitchen cabinets, and they took the vanities. The copper? They didn't take any copper. That was good. Wow. It's like, huh? What? Never had that happen. I'm just saying, it's a risk that you take depending upon where you want to go. What time is it? It's time. Okay. All right. So, I know you have raffles. Any quick questions before we end and I give away a book? No questions. Huh. Okay. All right. Quick question for a free book. And you can't have one because you already got one. What year was I inducted into Robert Kiyosaki's Hall of Fame? Raise your hands if somebody knows. You were first. 2009. Huh? Nope.
12.
Yeah. Can you pass that on down, please? Thank you for paying attention. All right. Ticket, or you can have $59 off the VIP. It's your choice. 766. All right. Hey, you already have a VIP, so you just saved yourself $59. Good job. Okay, make sure I do that for you.
I will.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I actually am going to be out of town.
All right.
Oh.
We'll go one more chance. I'll get you a ticket to the 11/17. Everybody mark your calendars out right now. 11/17, you have nothing else to do. You can't be helping people sell houses that day. It's just too important. November 17th. So I'll get you one, but who ends in 7, 6, 7 gets 2 tickets.
That's me.
Cool. You already bought one, right?
No, I got 2.
Okay, well they're free now. So
You gave them to me.
this is a rough one. All right, we're done. We're done. Thanks, guys.